New York was drowning in the rain. The streets, bathed in neon, looked like blurred notes on a crumpled sheet of paper. I walked quickly, as if I were running away, although I didn't know from whom. Perhaps from the audience, who had stared at me with cold astonishment a few hours earlier when I had stopped in the middle of a concert. My fingers could not get a single sound from the piano. The silence became louder than any music. I lost myself that evening. The rain beat on my face, ran down my hair, penetrated my bones. I wanted to dissolve with it. And then, under the canopy of a small cafe in Brooklyn, I saw him. A man in a dark coat, with disheveled black hair and a smile, as if he knew all my secrets. His gaze was too attentive, too piercing for a stranger. "You're freezing," he said with a slight accent. "The only cure for the cold is dancing." I laughed through my tears. I, who had just lost the stage, was supposed to believe in dancing. But he held out his hand as if it were the only right answer. And I took a step towards him. My first step in tango in the rain. His hand was warm, despite the cold of the rain. I felt his fingers grip my palm tightly, as if he were holding me not only physically but also internally, so that I wouldn't fall apart. He led me a step forward, surely but gently. My body resisted, confused, bound. I had always lived in the world of music, but now I had become a note in its melody. The rain fell in heavy drops on the asphalt, creating a rhythm, dull, choppy, alive. And we began to dance to this rhythm, to the symphony of the thunderstorm. His movements were precise, like a predator's. Every step was a challenge. Every turn was a surprise. I felt myself losing control, and at the same time, for the first time in a long time, I allowed myself not to hold everything in my own hands. "Don't be afraid," he whispered. "Tango is trust." My heart was exploding. I had known him for a few minutes, but I let him lead me to a place where there was no failure, no audience, no fear. We spun in the rain as if the world around us had disappeared. And when he stopped abruptly, holding me so close that I could feel his heart, I was scared. We stopped under the canopy of the same cafe. I was panting as if I had run a marathon. Water was dripping off our clothes in puddles, but I didn't feel the cold. He was looking at me intently, as if he were trying to read all the untold pages of my life. "You move well," he said. "You're kidding," I breathed. "I almost stepped on your foot." "It's not important in tango," he smiled. "It's the heart that's important. And yours is dancing." I didn't know how to respond. His words cut through the armor I had built up after my failure on stage. "I'm Rafael." He held out his hand. "I teach tango here in Brooklyn. Come." "Why?" "To learn to trust myself. Or at least the music." I should have said no. But instead I nodded. His studio was hidden on the second floor of an old house. I was greeted by the smell of coffee and wood. Inside, the silence was broken by the crackling of vinyl. The wooden floor was covered with heel marks, and on the walls were photographs of couples tango. Rafael set down 2 cups of coffee. "This is my place of strength. Here I left the past behind and found a new beginning." "Do you play the piano?" "Once," I replied. "Then we're the same. We both lost music and are looking for it again." I stood in the middle of the studio, confused. The mirror reflected my figure. Rafael turned on the music. "Listen with your body," he said. He took my hand. I took a step forward and almost tripped. "I'm a terrible student. You try too hard to be right. Tango is about mistakes that become history." I stumbled, stepped on his toes, lost my rhythm. But the more he led me, the less I thought about the steps. For the first time in a long time, I heard the music inside me. And I realized I was starting to trust not only him, but myself. After several failed attempts, we stopped. I laughed like I hadn't laughed in a long time, sincerely, loudly, without shame. My body was tired, but my soul, it sang. Rafael poured us coffee from a small Turkish coffee pot. The aroma spread throughout the room, mixing with the smell of rain that was still dripping outside the window. We sat on the floor, our backs against the mirror. "You laugh beautifully," he said, handing me a cup. "This is better music than any record." I felt the words get stuck in my throat. The smile disappeared. "I can't laugh on stage anymore," I whispered. "I can't even play." He was silent, but his gaze forced me to continue. On the day of the concert, I stopped. My hands betrayed me. There was an empty silence. All I could hear was someone coughing on the balcony. That was the end of me. The coffee was as bitter as my words. Rafael tilted his head. Do you think the music has betrayed you? No. It's just waiting for you to trust it again. I felt something hot and sharp rise to my eyes. And for the first time, I allowed myself to not hold back the tears. When the clock struck midnight, we were still sitting in the studio. The rain hadn't let up, it was playing its own melody on the windows. I felt like I had revealed myself to him more than I had to anyone in years. And that was probably why I dared to ask, and you? Why are you here in New York? Rafael was silent for a long time. His face became serious, dark. Then he raised his eyes and spoke quietly, as if he was afraid the walls would hear him. In Buenos Aires, I danced every day. It was my whole life. Stages, competitions, studios. But one day, everything came to an end. I had to leave the city. Why? I asked. His smile was strained, almost painful. Tango taught me to keep secrets. Sometimes it's better to be silent than to ruin the music with words. I wanted to ask more, but I felt I had no right. His shadow was too fresh, too deep. Here in New York, I started from scratch, he added. Only tango saved me from myself. His voice rang in me like a note I was afraid to play. And I realized, between us there is not only music, but also pain that is looking for a way out. The next evening, I arrived early. The studio was empty, only silence and the smell of coffee that was still there from yesterday. The sun was shining through the dirty windows, leaving streaks of light on the wooden floor. In the corner, I noticed an old piano. The black varnish was scratched, the keys were yellowed, a few were cracked. It looked forgotten, just like me. I touched the keys. At first carefully, as if touching a foreign body. Then harder. The notes sounded dull, uneven, but alive. My heart trembled. I hadn't heard my own voice in a long time. The door opened and Rafael entered. He didn't interrupt me. He simply stood in the middle of the room and began to move. His steps echoed my notes, or maybe it was me adjusting my fingers to his dance. It was a strange feeling. I was playing and he was dancing. Two worlds that were afraid to live were now coming to life together. When the last chord died away, he leaned over and whispered, "See, the music hasn't left you. It's been waiting for you to come back." I turned away so he wouldn't see my tears. But in my soul, for the first time in a long time, I felt not a failure, but a beginning. That day, he turned off the lights in the studio, leaving only the dim glow of the lamp by the mirror. The music began to play slow, drawn out, like a heart that had just woken up. "Forget about the steps," Rafael said, standing opposite. "Think only about breathing. Mine and yours." His hand touched my waist, the other confidently gripped my palm. I froze, too close, too intimate. But he led me in such a way that I hardly had time to think. Step forward. Turn. Stop. I got confused, but he caught me every time, as if he knew where I would fall. In the mirror, I saw two strangers dancing as if they had known each other their whole lives. "Let go," his voice was quiet but firm. "Don't control. Trust me." I closed my eyes. And then my feet began to listen to the music, not the fear. I could feel his heart beating as fast as mine. We moved in a rhythm where there were no mistakes. Just two people holding each other. When the music stopped, he leaned over and whispered, "This is it. You're coming alive." We left the studio well past midnight. The streets of Brooklyn were shining with wet asphalt, the streetlights reflected in the puddles like spilled stars. And the rain began again, sharp, loud, almost defiant. I stopped under the awning, instinctively seeking protection. But Rafael stepped right into the stream of water. His dark hair instantly stuck to his face, his coat soaked, but he stood with his arms outstretched, as if embracing this downpour. "See, Marie," he shouted over the noise. "Rain is freedom. It washes away everything we carry inside." I looked at him and felt something break inside me. My fear of looking foolish, my habit of hiding, all of it pulled me back under the roof. But his eyes beckoned me forward. I took a step. 1, 2. And now I was standing next to him, the water running down my cheeks, mixing with tears. Rafael took my hand and said quietly, "Now dance." "Not for me. For yourself." There was no music, only the roar of the storm. But I felt the rhythm in my chest and let my body move. It was my first dance of freedom. We returned to the studio, drenched in sweat, but happy as children. Rafael turned on the lamp, and the warm light dispersed the night. We sat on the floor, drinking the remains of our coffee and laughing nonstop. "You look different," he said. "It's as if the rain has washed something heavy off you." Maybe I smiled. Maybe it washed me away. We were silent. The silence was so deep that I could hear his breathing. "Are you afraid of yourself?" he asked. "I'm afraid I'll never feel alive again," I replied. His hand barely touched mine. My heart raced. "To live is to take risks," he said. "There is no tango without risks." His eyes were so close that I could see the reflection of the lamp. If he leaned in any closer, I wouldn't turn away. I could feel the air between us thickening. Rafael was looking so close that I could see my own trembling in his eyes. His fingers were still touching my hand. "Marie," he whispered. My name sounded different on his lips, softer, deeper. He leaned closer. I felt his breath on my lips, and fear hit me, fear of losing control. But when his lips touched mine, I forgot everything. The kiss was passionate, demanding, one that left no room for doubt. My body trembled with a wave that could not be stopped. We held each other as if we were drowning. I didn't know if this was the beginning of love or disaster. But I knew one thing: I no longer belonged to myself. The music had long since stopped, the record player had stopped, but we hadn't noticed the silence. His kisses were like a rhythm that drove the body further and further. Rafael pressed me against the mirror, and I felt the cold of the glass and the fire of his touch. My reflection looked at me with wide eyes, as if asking, "Are you really doing this?" I did. His fingers glided over my skin, attentive, confident, as if he were dancing here too, every touch a step, every breath a turn. We sank to the floor among scattered notes and shadows. The studio became a place where, for the first time in a long time, I felt alive and wanted. I allowed him to enter me, not only with my body, but also with my soul. But even in this closeness, I felt he was holding something inside of him too. The sun's rays filtered through the blinds. I woke up, feeling the warmth of his hand on my waist. Rafael was still asleep. His breathing was calm. I touched his hair and smiled. But along with the tenderness came fear. What would happen next? We met by chance, and he had already become my world. Wasn't it too soon? I went to the mirror. My reflection was different. I saw a woman who could feel again, but didn't yet know if she could hold it in. "Marie," his sleepy voice said. I looked around. He held out his hand, as if he were afraid I would leave. And I lay back, allowing myself to be under the illusion for a little longer that this morning could last forever. But inside, doubt had already dawned. The next few days we saw each other every night. I played, he danced. We laughed, drank coffee, talked about New York, about music, about life. It seemed like the world had given me a chance to start over. But something had changed. I noticed how sometimes his gaze would become absent. He would fall silent, as if his thoughts were dragging him somewhere far away. His smile was empty. "Rafael, are you listening to me?" I asked. "Yes, of course," he answered, looking away. But I knew he was lying. A silence fell in the studio, not creative, but anxious. I wanted to break it, but he took a step back every time. And fear gripped me. I could lose my music again. Only now in his hands. What is he hiding from me? I repeated at night. I was left alone in the studio while Rafael went to get coffee. Restlessness would not leave me alone, and I wandered aimlessly around the room. On the shelf lay an old leather folder. I hesitated only a moment before opening it. Inside were black and white photos. Rafael in a suit, younger, radiant, with his partner. Their embrace was so passionate that even the photo breathed life. Next to it was a yellowed newspaper clipping, "Scandal in the World of Tango." Rafael Mendoza's championship in question after a fight backstage. Mysterious disappearance of partner. My heart beat faster. Disappeared? When the door opened and he came in with the coffee, I abruptly put the folder away. His smile was familiar, but now I saw something different in it. He carried danger. I kept quiet for days, but his every touch burned me with questions. Finally, I decided. "Who was your partner in Argentina?" I asked. He froze. "It was a long time ago," he finally said. "Her name was Sophia. We danced together for years." "And what happened to her?" "She left." His voice was dry. "That's what happens in tango. People leave." I sensed he was lying. "And that's why you left?" He stood up abruptly. "I left because I couldn't stay any longer." "Enough, Marie." His voice was hard as a wall. For the first time, I felt the real distance between us. That evening the studio was full of students. Rafael was demonstrating the steps. And suddenly, the door opened. A man in a dark cloak came in, a wet hat in his hands. His voice cut through the air. "Mendoza. You've been hiding for a long time." The students didn't understand anything, but Rafael turned pale. "This is not the place for that." His voice was hollow. "And you always ran away," he laughed. "But you can't run away from the past." I felt a chill run down my spine. Rafael gave me a sharp look. "Don't interfere." His secrets had entered our world by themselves. The studio emptied quickly. I was left waiting for Rafael to lock the door. "Who is he?" I asked. He was silent for a long time, taking off his jacket. "He's my ex-partner," he said. "We danced together." "And he's after you because of dancing? Or because of Sophia?" His eyes lit up as if I'd said a forbidden name. "Don't go where you don't know the way." "I'm already there," I replied. "If I don't know the truth, I can't stay." He grabbed my hands, squeezed them too tightly. "The truth won't save you. It can destroy everything." I stayed up all night. I sat by the window, listening to the rain. Rafael walked in circles, lighting cigarette after cigarette. Finally, he gave up. "You won't back down, will you?" I shook my head. He sat down opposite me. "Sophia wasn't just my partner. She was my life. We won everything. But backstage, it was different. Her attention wasn't just mine. On the night of our last championship, we had a fight. I saw her walking towards my opponent. I snapped. We fought backstage like two madmen. And then, she disappeared. Disappeared. No one saw her after that night. And I was blamed for everything." His eyes were dark, full of pain. And for the first time, I thought, what if he really was guilty? His words played in my head like a broken record. She disappeared. I was blamed. Each repetition made my temple throb. I looked at his hands that led me in the dance, at his eyes, where both passion and pain lived. And at the same time, fear grew in my soul. If he could lose control then, wouldn't he lose it again? "You look at me as if I were a monster," Rafael whispered. "I don't know who you are," I replied. "Yesterday you were my salvation, and today I'm afraid." He moved to the window. "I've never raised my hand against a woman, Marie. Remember that." I wanted to believe. But the seeds of doubt had already sprouted. We didn't dance that evening. Silence separated us. It all happened unexpectedly. I was playing the piano when the studio door swung open. The same man in the cloak entered, but this time he was not alone. Two others followed him. "Game over, Mendoza," they said. "Did you think America would hide you?" Rafael pushed me aside. "There's no one here but me. Leave her. And she's already part of your story," he laughed. "Like Sophia." I felt the ground give way. "Run!" Rafael shouted. But I didn't move. Two voices were fighting inside me, to run or to stay. His eyes begged for a choice. And I realized, my love had already become a tango. And tango doesn't tolerate half steps. I should have run. Any sensible woman would have run. But I took a step forward, beside him. Rafael looked at me, his eyes filled with relief and despair. "I won't leave you," I said. The stranger laughed. "Here she is, your new Sophia. Let's see if you can save her better." Rafael shuddered. His hand tightened on mine. "This is not your war," he whispered. "From now on, it's all mine," I replied. The record player turned on at a random movement. A tango, disturbing and deep, filled the room. And I knew we wouldn't run. We would dance even in the midst of this danger. We ran out of the studio. It was raining, as if New York itself had decided to wash off all our masks. The street was empty. The asphalt gleamed in the light of the streetlights. Rafael grabbed my hand. If we fall, then together. If we survive, then together. I nodded. He raised my hand and took the first step. The tango began without music. It was replaced by the roar of thunder, the pounding of rain, our hearts. We moved under the sky, under lightning, under cold streams. Every step became a challenge, to his past, to my fears. People looked at us from the sidewalks as if we were crazy. But it was our choice, to dance where others run away. The rain merged with tears. But this time they were not from pain. We stopped in the middle of the street, wet, exhausted, but not letting go of each other. The rain washed away all our fears, all the dirt of the past. I don't know if I can save you, I whispered. But I want to try. You already saved me, he replied. Because I believe again that life can be more than shadows. Enemies and secrets remained behind us. They could return tomorrow. But now it was just the two of us, the dance and the rain. I raised my head to the sky and felt free for the first time in a long time. We stood in each other's arms, and I knew the finale hadn't been written yet. Maybe this was the end. Or maybe it was just the first act. Because tango is like life. It lasts as long as hearts beat. And ours beat in unison.